First, there was a storm of rock and stuff. Then land kinda shook a bit and popped up out of the ground. And some plants came and then they left and did that a whole bunch. And then some peeps stopped by and partied again and again until the neighbors called the cops. There was some rain and snow and sleet. Is sleet a thing? And all that nature couldn't care less, 'cause the world is chaos, and there is nobody out there who cares about you, except for...
Hey everyone, it's Brent the Middleman, your middle-aged middle manager in Middle America, here today with a video discussing the Prime Video mystery series Outer Range. So spoiler alert for the first 4 episodes. Now tell everyone to make like a mountain and disappear because we have a lot to cover. We see Royal and Amy talking in the kitchen while eating ice cream. Royal says, "I didn't have ice cream until I was 10 years old, and I had to walk to school uphill both ways." Amy said he's told her that 100 times. Royal says, "Well, that's what old people do, they repeat themselves." And Amy says, "You're not old." Royal says, right. The old picture of Royal's parents, or I think it's Royal's parents, looks super old. Is Royal actually much older in that he was born at a much earlier time, but came through the void when he was 9 to a later time? And somehow the void wipes your memories? Which means Autumn may have traveled through the void. We know from the Kendrick Lamar song DNA that's playing as Autumn hitchhikes to town that she has royalty inside her DNA. Are they telling us that Autumn is related to Royal? That's how she knew that Royal would survive the void, or at least subconsciously knew it? But more on that in a bit. Sheriff Joy stops a robbery at the market and makes an offhand comment about the radio sports guy D-Money talking like he can see the future. Not sure if it means anything or just foreshadowing for someone to use the void to see the future. Maybe Royal has already been using it, and that's why he seems so calm about things. As Joy is driving the robber to the station, or as Prime Video calls him, Tweaker Guy, he tells Joy about his cousin disappearing for 6 seconds. It seems like time is destabilized all over the area. Autumn is out digging in the west pasture near the rock wall with the Abbott brand on it. She finds what looks like a giant gold nugget. Whoa, no wonder we see mining and drilling in the future on this land. And was it just me, or did the Abbott brand on the wall start to look less faded? Autumn also runs into the buffalo and pulls an arrow out of it. After that is when she hitchhikes to town, and we hear the song about having royalty inside my DNA. She is getting her prescription for lamotrigine, which is a real drug that treats seizures and bipolar disorder. Traveling through the void as a kid must do a real number on a developing brain. We see that the movie playing is The Phantom Toll Booth. This is a great reference, since it is a story about a boy named Milo who is always unsettled and unable to find a purpose in life. Sound familiar? One day, a mysterious toll booth appears and transports him to a life of magic, adventure, and wonder. Is the void Royal's phantom toll booth? Did he create it in a similar way to how Eleven created the Upside Down in Stranger Things? In town, Autumn sees Royal's truck outside a bar called the Handsome Gambler. This place is interesting for a bunch of reasons. First of all, the cowboy image on their sign looks just like Royal. It's also a big foreshadowing for the card game we will see in episode 4. It's also where Autumn meets Perry for the first time. They are definitely setting up a possible connection here, as Autumn even looks a lot like Rebecca, Perry's missing wife. Autumn tries to make Perry feel better by saying that she felt like she was in the dark for a long time, but one day she figured out how to turn the light on. Is she telling Perry that he will understand everything soon? I'm also really starting to think Autumn may be a younger version of Royal's mom, or maybe even his sister. We were reminded a bunch of Rebecca this episode, when Perry tells Autumn, and then when Amy gets a ride from singing Billy Tillerson, and then again when Cecilia thinks she sees Rebecca driving a blue truck through town. At the rodeo, Sheriff Joy lets Rhett know they found Trevor's belt buckle and it has Rhett's blood on it. Then later, after Rhett and Maria make out, he gets arrested for peeing on a cop car. We then see that Joy puts the belt buckle in her desk drawer instead of an evidence lockup, and that her drawer has problems staying shut. Oh yeah, that's better. I'm not sure why she doesn't lock it up, but it gives Royal a chance to steal it when he comes to pick up Rhett. The drawer must have popped open, and Royal could see the buckle in it. Lucky. In the car ride home, Royal tells Rhett that only his dad died when he was a kid, and his mom and a younger sister are still alive. or at least they were when he left. He says he ran away after his dad died and never went back. He emphasizes that he never saw either of them again. He must have traveled through the void. Otherwise, they would have found him or he would have seen them again, right? Then he shows Rhett that he took the belt buckle before taking it to the void to toss it in. Royal really just wants to punt these problems down the road, eh? Sheriff Joy is up the road meeting with some rich political donor or something like that, and he tells her the story of one of the guys who work for him who was on his property near some caves when they heard a rumble. The guy goes into the cave and sees a mastodon, a prehistoric elephant. He says that over the years there have been a lot of sightings of these mastodons in the area. They may appear whenever the void is active, which definitely makes it sound like it's on some kind of cycle. Royal goes to talk to Autumn to find out why she pushed him in the hole. We find out that Autumn was in an accident when she was 9, and all she was able to remember was her name. I still think the accident had to do with the void, and that's how she got her pendant. Autumn thinks the void should be experimented on, but Royal is definitely against it. It's like he feels protective over it. She really wants to know what he saw when he went in the void. He tells her he saw this place, the West Pasture, but it was different, in another time. She is holding her pendant this whole time, asking if it was the past or the future. She is as amazed as us that he traveled through time. She asks if he saw her there, but he won't answer, he just kind of nods. He makes her agree not to tell anyone about what she sees on the land, and she can stay there as long as she wants. As they shake hands, some dark material in her pendant starts to move around. It looks just like the black stuff that was all over Royal's hand, and then his body when he went in the void. Their connection, or Royal's connection, makes the mountain behind them disappear. Or more accurately, that area of land went back in time to before the mountain was created. Sheriff Joy is laughing about the mastodon when she sees the mountain vanish. It then reappears as soon as Royal and Autumn stop touching. Royal hardly even flinches, and Autumn doesn't even know what happened. It really makes me feel like Royal knows more than he's letting on about all this, or he just realizes that this type of power needs to be kept secret so the world doesn't exploit it. It also shows Royal the power of Autumn's pendant, and it's right then that he knows he needs to get it away from her. Cecilia is staring at her "Oh Lord, reveal yourself to us" wall hanging as she continues with her crisis of faith. If only she knew about the void. That's a pretty big reveal of something. Amy lets her know she's going on a hike as Sheriff Joy gets to the station and finds out that she's not the only one who saw the mountain vanish and then reappear. Just like what the tweaker guy told her about his cousin disappearing and reappearing after 6 seconds. Did this happen when Autumn touched Royal to push him in the hole? Amy then finds Trevor's body up on the mountain as Joy realizes she doesn't have the belt buckle. Royal calls Joy to tell her about the body while Luke Tillerson is in her office. Episode 2 begins 9 months ago, which we know is the time that Rebecca disappeared. It turns out it is also the same time that Wayne's workers found the rock he keeps so close. It has the same void material moving around in it as Autumn's pendant, and Wayne flashes back to when he was a kid and saw the void in Abbott's West Pasture. It confirms to him that he's not crazy, that it was really there. I wonder if Wayne put his hand in the void back then and saw the future. And what did he see? And why did he never go back? Did it take away some of his memories, like what happened with Autumn? Royal leads Joy and her team up to Trevor's body on the mountain. There is no evidence that he was brought there, and they notice that the body doesn't smell yet, which means he couldn't have been dead very long. When you go through the void, do you just appear in some random spot on the land? Royal came out of the void on the other end, so why didn't Trevor? Or did someone know to push him back in the void in the future, sending him back to this time? My other thought was that the mountain vanishing and coming back exposed Trevor's body or made it reappear. We find out later that Trevor's only been dead about 10 hours, so somebody must have pushed him back through the void pretty quickly. Maybe Autumn did it after seeing what Wayne Tillerson does with the void, or maybe the void just protects Royal in some way. Joy tells the Tillersons that Trevor is dead, and we get naked wacky Wayne wrapped in a fur, crying in front of his buffalo head, while Just Call Me Angel is playing. What is the story with this buffalo? Was it from the past and Wayne killed it, or his men killed it? Is it a sign from the void like the rock? Meanwhile, Perry goes out to the West Pasture Mountain to find Autumn to see if she knows anything about Trevor's death, worried that she could rat them out. Perry asks her if she needs anything, and she asks for a picture of his missing wife, saying that maybe she's seen her. Does Autumn know something, or does she think she'll be able to use the void to find her? We get a shot of the void rumbling as Royal looks over the spot where Trevor's body turned up. It flashes to Joy and she sees her drawer is popped open again. Bingo confirms that it must have popped open when Royal was there and he saw it. Royal examines the ground where Trevor's body was and he finds a rock with the void material in it. So, this happens when someone or something appears from the void. It stains the earth and the rocks around it, leaving a residue. This made me wonder again how Autumn got her necklace. I really think she may be Rhett's sister, who went through the void and appeared with no memories. Someone took her in and raised her, since she didn't remember her family. The pendant is a rock from the area she first appeared after going through. This is my current theory, at least. Royal smashes the rock in a vise, and it looks like carbon, just like he talked about at the beginning of episode 3. First, there was a storm of carbon and molten rock. The void is from the very beginning of time, of creation. A piece of the time dimension, or an opening to the fourth dimension, the dimension of time. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. Joy presses Maria and finds out that she lied about Rhett being with her and that Perry was the last one with Trevor. Joy questions the boys and Perry looks like he's about to start crying and tells her that he doesn't know where Rhett was. Jesus, Perry. Royal brings in his lawyer to deal with these honeyfugglers, and on the way home asks Rhett what he needs him to do. Rhett says, I don't know, turn back time? I guess he doesn't realize that Royal just might be able to turn back time. Come on, you knew it was coming. Wayne's ex-wife helicopters into town ready to bust some heads. But Wayne tells her, I'd like to mourn my son without you breaking my balls, Patricia. And we find out that she left for Aspen and Wayne wouldn't let her take the kids. Patricia says that the boys think that the Abbott boys killed Trevor. Wayne says they're hiding something. Always have. Why has Wayne never snuck out there to find the void? Does it move? Does it not allow certain people to see it sometimes? Wayne shows Patricia the rock with the void residue in it, but it doesn't really have the same effect on her. She then has a totally badass moment when she tells Wayne, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to plan this funeral, then I'm going to find out who murdered my son, then I'm going to make sure Luke saves this ranch, while you sit here and slowly lose your mind and die. It's good to have a list. Damn, you go, girl. Wayne gets the last word in, though, saying, you still gotta find Nutcracker, Patty. And she gives him the finger. I love this whole exchange. Royal threatens the county assessor, telling him that he's got a nice big hole in the earth for him, and there are no Fritos in that hole. Are there different underrated chip brands in the future? Joy heads over for Trevor's autopsy, and Patricia the boss is waiting for her. Patty and her Nutcracker are not too happy with Joy taking 5 days to find him. We then learn that Trevor was dead for less than 10 hours from when he was found. This should totally clear Rhett and Perry, and if they had only just kept their mouths shut and let Royal do his thing, there'd be no issues. At the funeral, Billy sings a very touching tribute to Trevor, and I wonder if all the singing will come back to be important at some point, or if it's just more of a character thing. Patty the baddie forces open Trevor's casket so she can gauge the reactions of the Abbotts. Perry is the only one who can't look at the body, which lets Patty know that he's the killer. Autumn then approaches Wayne while Billy pushes him in his wheelchair. She tells Billy nice singing, and I wonder if Billy will join her cult. Joy and her daughter talk about the Abbotts, saying that maybe they're telling the truth, that's why they came to the funeral. Joy says it's either that or Royal Abbott is a damn good con man. We definitely need to get more backstory on Royal. He does really seem good at handling all of this. At the funeral after party, Maria dumps Rhett, and you wonder if Rhett is going to get fed up with his life being ruined over Perry's mistake. Joy finds Royal at the bar, and she is still wondering if he knows where the belt buckle is, and says things have just been disappearing lately. Royal says, it's a crazy world, strange times, what can you do? Joy says she'll keep looking and something will show up. The world's not that crazy. Royal just scoffs and says, you ever wonder if the world's not what you think it is? No law, no order, just chaos all the way down. Then he has her look around at all the people laughing and drinking, even though they just buried someone. He says they're just fending off the dark, fending off the end. He laughs and then says, I'm gonna hit the Jakes. So they call bathrooms Jakes in Wyoming and not Johns like everywhere else? Or is this a sign we're in some alternate dimension or parallel universe? or am I totally overthinking this? Royal's speech about chaos all the way down reminded me of the saying that the earth sits on the back of a giant turtle, and under that is another turtle, and there are nothing but turtles all the way down. This basically means that we really have no idea what's going on. We are here for a split second and then gone the next, like the mountain or the tweaker guy's cousin. Deep, right? The county assessor finds Cecilia and lets her know that he moved the hearing up to next week because he doesn't take kindly to threats. Cecilia says, "No, you only take kindly to bribes." Hell yeah, Cece. It's after this that the show goes a bit bonkers in the best way. Royal comes out of the bathroom and hears Autumn saying, "Read 'em and weep, boys," from the other room. He walks down the hall while Bruce Springsteen plays, and he sees the glowing Rocky Mountains on the Coors Light sign. He spots her pendant and he sees it moving. He sits down and they play cards. But first, Royal tells Autumn she needs to show her feet. She asks why, and he tells the story of a tall, pale man who came to play cards once. One of the players dropped a card, and when he went to get it, he saw that the man's feet were hooves. They were playing with the devil. Autumn then shows her foot and basically calls Royal the devil, but he refuses to show his feet. Autumn gets a flush draw and Royal has 2 pair. They end up playing for some pretty high stakes. Autumn wants to stay on the land forever, and Royal wants the story of the rock around her neck. We then see Autumn hits her flush, and Royal misses on his full house. But he bluffs her and asks her to bet the necklace. She hesitates, but then the buffalo starts banging on the door. Now, was this really happening? Did anyone else see it or just Royal? Or did Autumn see it too? After seeing the buffalo, Royal says he'll put up all of his west pasture if he loses. She shows her flush, and Royal shows a full house, which beats a flush. We find out in his truck that he cheated, and he throws her necklace in his ashtray. At home, in bed, he can't sleep, gets up, grabbing the necklace. We flash over to Wayne, who is watching 2 gunslingers on TV duel it out, just like Wayne versus Royal. Wayne stares at his buffalo head, and then knocks over his clamato. The clamato pools around the rock and bubbles as he sees the void pieces moving around. Wayne then looks back at the buffalo and gets out of bed. We then see Wayne barreling through the pasture in his truck, screaming, "Come on, Mother Ever, show me something!" He's looking for the void. He then sees a light out in the field as he smashes through Royal's fence. He gets out of the truck as he reaches the void and finally sees it again after all these years. Royal then comes up behind him and puts him in a headlock, but somehow lets the dying man get on top. But they stand up and Royal headbutts Wayne, a veteran move right there. While Wayne is down, Royal goes to stare in the void, but Wayne comes up behind him and smashes his head with his magic rock. Wayne gets back on the truck and drives away victorious, as Royal lays bleeding on the ground by the void. Pretty great ending, and I'm wondering if this is where Royal dies bleeding in Cecilia's arms, just like she told him he did when he went through the void. So, what we saw was 2 years from now. After Wayne gets the land in the hearing because Royal is dead, and then proceeds to mine it and do who knows what else with the void. Wayne obviously doesn't keep it a secret though, as the whole town and the military are there when Royal pops out. I wonder if this is because of Autumn and her Kronos cult. She learns to use the void to see the future and recruits others to join her. I think only certain people can survive the void or use the void, so maybe they even do a test to see if someone can use it. I'm probably getting a bit carried away here, but that's the fun of it, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Are we going to see Royal die, or can the future be changed? Also, do you think anyone else saw the buffalo during the card game or just Royal? Lots to talk about in the comments before next week, so let's keep the discussion going. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It really helps out this middle-aged middle manager. Thank you everyone for watching. Once again, I'm Brent the Middleman, and I'll see you next time.